Good afternoon. This is Randall Ray McGuff Woten. Today I am introducing our very first episode of our new podcast, Schlock. With me today is
Jean-Paul Mantilla.
Jean-Paul Mantilla. He's a big contributor to Zombie Takeover TV in other capacities, and he and I had spoken, and we've decided we wanted to do our own cast, so we're going to do one for you today. Like I said, the title is Schlock. What's a schlocky film mean to you? What does schlock mean to you?
Schlock, low-grade fun, really cheesy special effects, while still capturing a fun and entertaining story. Schlock.
That's a very good explanation. Yeah, to me, I feel the same way. A schlocky film would be like a trauma film, something that I know that I'm going to get no real substance out of, but I'm going to have a fun time watching it. And I've not always been a fan of these. They've kind of grown on me over the years since you and I have been friends. When I was a young man, Aaron England, Frank, to those that know him, who runs Zombie Takeover's programming, he used to try to get me to watch these movies, and I fucking hated them. They're just so cheesy and disgusting at times that it was hard for me to appreciate back then. But now, as an adult and a connoisseur, if you will, of films, and going to some horror hound conventions with you and actually getting to meet the people that were behind these movies, I get that there's a love for it, an actual passion. Don't you think? Don't you agree?
Definitely a passion for these kinds of fun, low-grade, or even high-grade in some regards, where some directors get their first start in horror and schlock.
Right, exactly. Every one of us wants to be, that's into film, that is. I mean, there are people out there that don't care about movies one way or the other, but us film buffs, every one of us have envisioned making our own film, and let's all be honest, some of those are schlocky. I was myself involved with a low-budget horror film, which you've seen, called Daughters of Our Lord, that I would consider schlocky as hell. Don't you think so?
Definitely shocking.
Yeah, it's a SchlockFest. It's available for free on the Zombie Takeover TV page. Give it a watch at some point. It's worth your time. It's a fun. It was a passion project brought together by many fans of horror. We all worked tirelessly for that 8-hour day in the hot sun. It's worth your time. But today's feature that we're going to be going into is it is called Schlock.
That's correct.
The title is Schlock. It's a 1973 film written and directed by John Landis, who I love. You're a John Landis fan.
A huge John Landis fan.
Yeah, John Landis is a genius in my opinion. This film currently holds a 60% Rotten Tomatoes score, which blows my fucking mind. I mean, The Last Jedi is lower than that on there right now. I checked. Okay, which is weird to me. It has a 5.9 out of 10 IMDb score, which is to be expected. IMDb is a more broader audience, in my opinion. This is the kicker for me. Little known fact. Budget of only $60,000. I mean, now I've only seen clips, so it seems like they stretched that budget as far as they could, right?
Most definitely stretched.
Yeah. But, so let me give you a little overview about what the plot is, ladies and gentlemen. Schlock, like I said, is a low-budget horror film written and directed by John Landis. It says here that the fury of the Schlockthropus man awakens after 20 million years. So, according to this, Schlockthropus man awakens after 20 million years and begins to kill picnickers for their bananas. That is the overview.
That's also why this movie is also known as The Banana Monster.
Yes. When we were at Horror Hound, who did we talk to that referred to it as the Banana Monster?
I believe it was Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley, that's right, Pinhead. Doug Bradley. Jean-Paul and I talked to him for like 20 minutes one
At
time.
least.
You would not believe Doug Bradley's disdain for remakes of horror films. He fucking hates them. He went on like a 20-minute rant. It was pretty awesome. But he referred to it as the Banana Monster. That's right. He was a super nice guy. Shout out to Doug Bradley. But all right, well, we're about to cue this bad boy up. We're going to check back in with you here after in 1 hour and 20 minutes of the running time. And I'll give you my take. Jean-Paul will be here's the premise of our overall podcast for those of you that are wondering. SchlockFest will be once a month. Jean-Paul and I are going to get together, and he's going to present to me the shittiest movies that he loves, and then we're going to talk about them after we watch them.
They're not all shitty.
They're
all going to be.
They're all going to be
definitely their own kind of flavor, their own kind of schlock.
Their own schlock. So settle in, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a little banter about Schlock, the 1973 film, and enjoy SchlockFest. We'll be tuning back in here shortly to talk about the film and poke fun at it. Stay tuned.
On the dawn of man comes Schlock. A beast from 20 million years ago stalks the streets of today. A love stranger than King Kong. A monster more powerful than Godzilla. See, a small California town. Learn the true meaning of terror.
Bananas! Call out the National Guard.
This is going to be the best, Santa.
See the police and National Guard powerless before the awesome creature.
Hold it, hold it! You can't shoot why that's done, Mindy.
Why not?
Can nothing stop it? Can anything stop it? Arnie, will you please stop it?
This thing has been frozen in ice for 20 million years, so I figure it must be lonely.
First, birth of a nation. Then, Gone with the Wind. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Love story. See you next Wednesday. And now, Schlock. There is no place to hide. No one is safe from Schlock. 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 Schlock.
And this is Ray McGuff coming to you live from, or pre-recorded from Jean-Paul Mantilla's man cave. And we just finished Schlock. Jean-Paul?
I love it.
Yeah.
This is my wonderful, wonderful way to introduce you to schlocky movies.
Yeah, let me first start off by saying something I didn't know right off the bat. We talked about was that Rick Baker, famous VFX specialist, Rick Baker did all the special effects. This was his first film, and let me tell you, even in high definition, the Schlock monster doesn't look as bad as I thought he could. Like, he looks goofy as shit, don't get me wrong, but it's not any worse than, say, like the Planet of the Apes makeup of the same very similar time period, you know?
It's still a man in a monkey suit.
It's still a man in a monkey suit, though.
And in this case, it was famed director John Landis.
John Landis was behind the monkey suit. My thoughts right off the bat, first thoughts after it was over, was glad it was over. And I don't know why anybody would watch this voluntarily. That was my first thing, is like, had I not been forced to watch it, I would have started this thing and then turned it off. But I was glad I did stick with it because there were some really funny things in it. My first thing that made me laugh, I wrote down, was at the very beginning, the movie opens to this just terrible scene of death in this park, right? And these cops are loading bodies. And the thing that made me laugh, this cop picks a body. They have a wheelbarrow, which is funny to me, wheeling bodies off. But they pick up this lady. The cop lays a shotgun down on top of the body, gun pointing at his partner, and they pick the fucking body up and drop it into the wheelbarrow with the shotgun end pointed right at the guy's face the whole time.
And all of this makes sense when you have no money and you're making a movie for the very first time.
I guess it was fucking crazy to me that they're just like, even if it was a prop gun, which looked like a real shotgun, you don't fucking aim the barrel at the guy's face. That it just made no sense. I was like, that guy clearly was like, oh, I just gotta lay this down, and he didn't have any forethought as to how dangerous it could be. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I mean, he didn't drop it on the person. He just laid and rested on
the
him.
gun was pointed at the guy, though, that was helping him carry the body. It was ridiculous. That part was ridiculous.
Next time we have to carry a body with a wheelbarrow and a shotgun, I will make sure it gets pointed at my end.
Yeah, all right. Also very funny in that opening scene, I thought, there's your classic television reporter douchebag, right? And the whole time he's reporting, he's fucking doing the normal building up hysteria thing that reporters do. But he ended his segment with, there's a body count contest where you had to guess how many bodies made up this bags. These, like, there were body parts strewn all over, and so they put them in like fucking Ziploc bags or giant trash bags, and the contest was guess how many bodies consisted of body parts in that bag, which was funny. I mean, come on, that was pretty funny, right?
Joe Putman, the wonderful news reporter in this movie, who later did Budweiser commercials, and he's probably known for doing other movies in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't recognize him as anybody really that important, but he had that fucking voice that this is Joe Putzman. Well, you know, yeah, it was very, very game show host reporter. I liked him. He made me laugh pretty hard.
You know, nowadays we don't get the news reporter really man on the street going into the middle of a crime scene. Oh wait, we do.
We do, for sure. What was the other? In that opening scene, you're introduced to some typical high school teens, and this was very send up of the 1950s style of horror, where, you know, you've got your teens that are out in the middle of nowhere, and they're probably gonna fuck each other, but so to ward off the sex, they decide to go looking in this cave that they find, and very typical 50s horror stuff. They get down in there, and that's where they first encounter the Schlock monster. And the first guy goes off. He's like, I'm going to go see what's going on in this cave. Flashlight, you know, leaves his companions, which is always a bad sign, right? But you pointed this out to me. There's dead bodies buried in this cave, and I didn't realize it till he walks past a face, and the guy's laughing as he's walking by. I didn't realize it until you pointed it out.
Yeah, and these wonderful teens with the wonderful names of Billy, Betty, and Bobby, where they have a fun little banter of, I don't want to go down there, Billy. Betty, do you want to go down there? Bobby?
Billy? Bobby? Betty?
Just so you don't forget their names.
Yes. It was
very Scooby-Doo-ish.
It was Scooby-Doo as fuck.
Yes.
Actually made me laugh really hard. All right, I guess I'll go. So this kid's fucking looking around with his flashlight, and you know it's coming. You know this monster is going to pop out of nowhere. And when the big reveal comes, man in a fucking gorilla suit.
Man in a gorilla suit, which is wonderful.
And he backhands this kid with such veracity that I had to think it was a real backhand. Like, the kid goes flying off, then you see a shadow of the beast just relentlessly punching this body. To my next favorite part of this movie. Back to the group of kids, and the girls are like, we should go get the sheriff. We should go get the police. And the kid's like, no, I'm going to go find out what's going on.
Where you get the second big body count in this movie.
Yeah, he goes back down to find his friend being mauled by this fucking man in a gorilla suit. And he goes, hey, what are you doing? And the gorilla beats the shit out of him, too. Phenomenal. Made me laugh really hard.
It is quite entertaining watching a man in a gorilla suit beat up on teens.
So then, from there, the film just follows this thing around. He climbs up out. The news comes, to the spot, where they're going to go, because the two teen girls get away, we suppose, because it doesn't show, it just cuts. They tell the cops. The cops now know this gorilla lives in this hole. So they go there, and everybody in the town shows up to watch the police go down this hole. To my chagrin, the ape suit guy shows up behind them and is doing some very Laurel and Hardy type fucking comedy in the background, tapping people on their shoulders and pushing people through. The reporter is interviewing the winner of the body count contest, which just happens to be the same mother of the blind girl that we're going to introduce in a little bit, which I thought was funny. But anyways, I love the reveal of the fucking ape monster walking into to the shot with the mom being interviewed, the winner, and she kind of realizes, right, that it's the ape guy, and then she kind of wanders off, like with this terrified look on her face, as what's the guy's name? The reporter,
Joe Putzman.
Joe Putzman, as Joe Putzman interviews. Oh, so, hi. Oh, yeah, that's a gorilla suit. That's kind of funny. You're not in a gorilla suit. You are. You are the gorilla. It is this big, just silly reveal that he's interviewing the monster they're all looking for, and everybody goes running off.
But before that, in wonderful, wonderful horror fashion,
Yeah.
the wonderful banana monster, or Schlock,
Yes.
pulls out the reporter's arm.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Oh, God. How could I forget that?
How could you forget that?
He grabs the arm of the guy and just yanks it off in the fucking, like, just like a 1940s style arm that's clearly a dummy arm, right? And the guy falls down dead, we assume. But what's funny is the cop's going to arrest the monster. Comes up and puts the handcuff on one of the gorilla's arms and then the dummy arm, which made me laugh really hard because the gorilla guy's like holding the dummy arm and then he just drops it and strangles the dude, like throws him off, you know.
And that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to do in these kind of scenarios.
The blind girl who we're introduced here in a little bit, she's played by Eliza Roberts.
Eliza Roberts.
Which, if you guys are fans of films, you'll know as the little sister of Eric Roberts, cousin to Julia Roberts.
That's right.
If you didn't know that, like I didn't know that, it still doesn't add anything to the movie at all, other than the fact that Emma Roberts, right?
Emma Roberts, the niece,
is this is her mother.
Yes.
That's all you. That's the only. I believe it's probably the only movie she was in because she was fucking terrible.
Well, and that is where you're wrong.
Oh,
because
I'm wrong.
Eliza Roberts actually had a career.
You're kidding me.
No. Eliza Roberts actually is one of the few people, aside from, obviously, Rick Baker that we talked about earlier.
Rick Baker. I mean, John Landis
and
himself.
John Landis.
Big name.
Big name.
John Landis did, just in case other movies that you're not aware of. If you're listening to this, you probably are already aware of John Landis movies. I want to hope that you are. But American Werewolf in London, Training Places, right? Animal House. So I mean, the guy goes on to do amazing shit, and his comedy style is very present in this. I mean, there are some big laughs here coming up that we'll talk about that have me going.
But you know, Eliza Roberts, you know, you
what was she in?
She didn't have a career.
I mean, I said I didn't.
She shows up as Bernadette in Animal House.
Okay.
She had a short little stint in the wonderful 1980s Gimme a Break with Natalie Harper.
Okay.
Very, very popular. You know, she shows up in random things if you look at her IMDb. But definitely, you know, she wasn't just a nobody. She became something.
She sounds like a nobody to me. I mean, those things you just mentioned, I went, yeah, okay.
She's got 63 credits to her name
so she was
on IMDb, which is much more than you and I.
Excuse me, I have an IMDb acting credit, sir.
Oh.
For Daughters of Our Lord, I do.
Okay, so you have one.
I have one. She
to
had
her 63.
Okay, so she was a working actress. Excuse the fuck out of me. Anyways, she's more famous though for shooting out Emma Roberts out of her loins. Okay.
Hey, well, that's how you do it.
All right. So anyway, the monster gets away. Obviously, the cops are fooled and just frightened. So the monster gets away. So then we follow the monster as he just goes around creating havoc in this town, which was really funny. I was not aware how fucking funny some of this stuff was.
Well, John Landis loved the old
Yeah.
50s and 40s horror films that he grew up with.
Some of my highlights of this was a 2001 Space Odyssey send up where he finds this animal bone and they're playing the song. Da, 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 da. And he throws this jawbone through this fucking window shop's glass window and goes in and steals a whole bunch of bananas, only to run around the side of the building and see a guy eating a picnic lunch and just throw the fucking bananas in his face. It's like a 5-minute scene that leads to 1 second of funny.
Yeah. And again, you say send up. It's not a send up. It's a blatant ripoff.
Okay, blatant ripoff.
You know, there's another wonderful scene where you see the little girl feeding the ducks.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like in Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's still stolen right out of Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein movie, and they also make a nod to it in the Monster Squad.
Yes.
But if you haven't seen the original Frankenstein, there's a girl. It's black and white. Boris Karloff. There's a girl feeding ducks at a pond, and Frankenstein's monster wanders in. And you're, for a moment, if you when you first watch it, thinking that this monster is going to just destroy this kid. But he doesn't. He has a very poetic moment with it where he sits down with her and plays. And Schlock does the same thing. He feeds the ducks, he kind of pets the kid on the head, and then goes on. It's a blatant ripoff.
It is a blatant ripoff. Yeah. But John Landis does have a different take on this.
Yes. Go.
On the DVD of this wonderful movie, there is the deleted scene where the Schlock monster just gets annoyed of throwing the ducks. He scares the ducks by throwing the kid into the pond.
Which, when you told me that, I thought would have been actually better if they left that in.
That would have been better.
Because
yes.
it was funny, as you have to know the reference to get a laugh out of it. But it would have been even funnier if he just... Because that was the thing about this monster. He got easily annoyed with human nonsense. Like, would be like, oh, I've never seen this before. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'm fucking done with this. Like, in the next scene, when he goes to meet... He wanders into the backyard of the blind girl who's been told by her mom to go outside and play. Now, the blind girl is 17 to 18 years old. I want everybody to be aware of this, because it gets a little weird.
Because she's not a little girl.
She's not a little girl. She's clearly a grown woman, but they keep referencing her as like a high school girl. And they even have a high school dance that the whole thing leads up to. But what made me laugh was she's blind. She just had this surgery to cure her eyesight, so her eyes are wrapped up. She thinks the monster is a puppy. And so she keeps taking this stick and throwing it and going, go get it, good boy, Willie. She names it Willie.
Hi, fella. Hi, little dog. Hi, doggy. Hi. What's your name? Should we name you? We'll call you Willie. That's a good name. We'll call you Willie. Call you Willie, little dog. You want to play? Here, fetch the stick. See the stick? Okay, go get it. Go on. Go on, Willie. Go get the stick. Go on. Go on. Willie dog. Go on. Okay, I'll throw it again. Go on. Go fetch the stick. Come on, you did it last time. Come on, Willie doggy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Get it again. Come on. Come on back with it. Come on, bring it back. Come on. Hurry back. Come on. Go on. Go on. Oh, good boy. Go on. You have fun playing, don't you? You little dog. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on, silly dog. What a funny dog you are.
She's petting him. He's trying to touch her tits, which made me laugh. And she keeps pushing her. Well, you're a silly dog, Willie. You're a silly dog. Go get the stick. My favorite part. She throws the stick. He catches it in midair. And he looks really annoyed by doing this stick thing over and over again. Grabs her hand and jams the stick in her hand.
Which is one of the best scenes in this movie.
Oh my god!
Because he does. He's just got so no zero disdain
because
for
he's
this
doing it at first.
fetch game, and then he's just like, I'm done.
At first, he's doing it because he's like, I feel bad for this thing, and I don't think it understands what I am, and all right, it wants the stick. And then all of a sudden, he just grabs it out of midair, and he's like, bitch, I've got this stick 10 times. And then so he runs off because the mom comes out, so he runs off. She doesn't see him. So Blind Girl still thinks it's a puppy dog. Then he goes around to some other shit. He gets involved in a movie, which is funny to me. He goes in and what the running theme through all of John Landis's, the running joke rather, is the See You Next Wednesday movie, right?
That is
correct.
Yes.
You want to give us a brief overview?
Yeah, if you watch, I'd say 90% of John Landis's films, you will notice the reference of See You Next Wednesday. And this was the origin in this movie. During some of the scenes of the wonderful news reporter, we don't have it nowadays, but, they had a nighttime movie at 6.
Right.
So they would say, coming up this evening, instead of, TV shows, they had movies they would play. And they would always say, see you next Wednesday in this movie. And the running theme in this particular one is every time it's described differently.
Yeah. And what was funny to me was, because you're right, those old 4, 6, and 10 channels would have a 6 o'clock movie, especially on the weekends when they didn't have programming and content. And they didn't have enough stuff to rerun, really, in those old days. But yeah, and I liked this because the See You Next Wednesday, it is referenced in, we named some names, Blues Brothers, American Werewolf,
John Landis has directed Thriller.
Yeah.
It also shows up especially in American Werewolf in London, because it shows up in the wonderful scene.
Yeah. So like the reporter goes, so tonight's 6 o'clock movie is See You Next Wednesday, starring so and so Mickey Rooney, and and it's about bohemian lovers in a dark it's a running. It's like he couldn't get the rights to use movie titles, so he just made his own up, and it's very clever.
So when they end up in the movie theater in this movie, that you do see the See You Next Wednesday poster advertised into many different ways.
Yeah.
A dinosaur pic.
We caught that one. One looked like some sort of sci-fi adventure or something else. So it was a running gag, and it made me laugh. But I really liked when the monster went into the movie theater, because a couple of funny things happened. One, the kid asks him to take him out for a restroom break that's sitting next to him, which was funny. Then they go back in. This lady with a fucking crazy hat sits in front of him, and so he grabs the hat off of her head, and then she turns around and is like apologizing, and then her hair is huge, so he grabs the wig off of her head too, which is funny. They're watching The Blob.
They did watch the original
Blob, which was Steve McQueen, which must have been public domain during this time period, I would think.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he had the rights to it. Or if he did, he didn't care. Again, first time movie, you could kind of get away with a little copyright infringement.
Yeah. Which was really funny. So then, but like everything about this movie that made me laugh was that he eventually got annoyed with this fucking movie. He just got up and was like, I'm done. And walks across the people's laps.
And so, he gets annoyed and then, decides, I'm going to go to an ice cream shop.
Yeah.
And that's a fun little gag there.
Yeah. He gets a banana split.
I mean, he is a monkey, and monkeys love bananas.
And he sits down, and these two girls that look like they're clearly out of the Shining movie.
They're definitely twins.
Yeah,
yes.
They come and sit down next to him, and he starts helping them eat ice cream. He's like jamming it in their face.
And then a dog comes in and gets fed in the face, too.
A dog comes in, and so they're all eating out of this big pot of ice cream, which was it was pretty funny. It made me laugh pretty hard. But then it goes into, he's wandering around, and he gets into this bar, and this blind piano player is playing this song, and they do like a 5-minute song where the monkey guy's just hitting this one key over and over again, and the blind piano player's just letting it rip this fucking amazing blues riff. And that made me laugh. But like again, everything the monkey wants to keep doing, and the blind guy's like, "Hey man, I'm done," and the monkey growls at him and like pushes his face and, like,
Because he's not done.
yeah. So then he goes back to blind girl's house for one last time. She's had this big reveal that her eye surgery worked, which was hilarious.
Because, that happens in
Yeah.
the 1970s. You
Right.
can clear blindness after
Yeah.
3 years.
So the blindness is reversed and she can see. So the Schlock comes in and chases her all around the house because she finally sees what he is. He's not Willie the puppy. He's a fucking man in a gorilla suit. They ward him off with fire, as you do.
That is what you do.
Then some other nonsense ensues, and they still think it's a good time to have this dance after they even say 700 people have been murdered by this thing at this point. And they have this school dance, and of course, he shows up.
Yeah, but at least there was police presence.
There was.
There was 4 officers.
Yeah, 4 officers outside, and they say it like 10 times. Like, I don't know why you're so upset, Mindy. That's the blind girl's name, Mindy. Nobody's going to get in here. There are 4 police officers outside. Every time they say it, it cuts, and an officer gets murdered outside by this monster.
In very disgusting fashion.
Yeah. I mean, he like jumps up and down on this one guy after throwing him 10 feet in the air. Then he comes in and just ruins the party. Fucking ruins it for everybody. Like grabs a dude, runs his head down a concession stand table, knocks all of the soda off, goes over to Mindy, grabs her up. Also very weird filmography here. She has the shortest dress I've ever seen on. And her big ass is just shown, and it's fine, I guess. It's just her big white ass is just shot through this whole scene of this gorilla guy carrying her up this ladder up to the top of the building. Very King Kong 1940s.
But that's what they were going for. They
Yeah.
were going for the homage to King Kong.
So he gets up on top of the roof. Fucking her boyfriend has this bright idea to use the road flares again, which I still don't know why that's such a big... fire bad, I get it.
Fire bad.
Fire bad. Very Frankenstein. But he throws the fucking flares up, and the guy drops her. He catches her. They run away. Then the cops let loose... He jumps down off the building, by the way. The cops let loose a barrage of bullets for like 9 minutes. And
because they called in the National Guard.
called
You
in
forgot about
oh,
that.
God, I forgot about that.
How
yeah.
could you forget? Because it's the wonderful clown car gag
Yeah.
where the smallest car can hold 25 people.
That's right. The terrible cop that's been in charge of this investigation where 700 people have died, mind you, steps out and he goes, "We just have to wait for the National Guard to get here." And then a car rolls up out of nowhere, and 25 dudes get out of this car, and they're all National Guardsmen. And so then they shoot the monster. And it's this fucking, like, barrage of bullets where every time they stop to reload, the monster gets closer and closer until they're getting ready to reload for the 3rd time, and he falls to his knees, and all he does is look at Mindy, and hold his hand out like, "Bitch, all I wanted to do was eat some bananas and make out with you, and you fucking killed me."
And it is the end.
Yeah, and then he dies.
And it's sad.
It's very sad.
But there is saving grace.
There's a saving grace, ladies and gentlemen.
Right at the end credits, the scientist who went down to figure stuff out about this wonderful
went down
monster
into the hole. Yep.
finds a baby.
That's right.
And we get coming soon.
Coming soon. Son of Schlock.
Which never came
Which
true.
never came true, because I imagine somebody somewhere other than me that had power saw this movie and said, No. We will not be doing that. I will not give you even $40,000 for that.
But John Landis, after this movie, had such a wonderful career. Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah. Oh, dude, not saying John Landis. Everybody has to start somewhere. This is my takeaway of this movie. This is a student film. I mean, he may not have been going to college when he did this, but this was a lesson in learning for how to shoot a movie. Because all of the John Landis things I loved are in this film. They're just done very poorly because it's his first attempt.
Yeah.
John Landis has very neat style of comedy, and it's peppered through this thing. And I'll be honest with you, I was prepared to hate this, and I actually liked it.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah, it made me laugh through most of it, and I get now why people have it on their radar. It is a nice, what would you call, like a still frame photo of a guy who I come to admire doing something that he wanted to do for the first time.
And that's what we're going to discover more and more in SchlockFest, because, we are going to, or I'm going to introduce Randy to movies that now are A-list directors or writers, and some of their first-time attempts, which our next show, I guess.
Yeah, our next episode is going to be Freaks.
Freaked.
Oh, Freaked. I'm sorry. God, I have seen this one before. I want to preface that, but it was years ago, and I have a special place in my heart for it because I liked it. I remember I thought it was really funny, but I haven't watched it in probably 15, 20 years. So.
And will it hold up?
Will it hold up?
Freaked
was written by and directed by Alex Winter. It's starring Randy Quaid and Brooke Shields. Also, Mr. T is in there. But also a special guest appearance by Keanu.
Yes.
Keanu
and that is because those who do not know the name Alex Winters.
Yeah.
He is the second half of Wild Stallions.
That's right.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I haven't watched that in years. That's going to be our next episode where we'll do that in a few weeks to be released in June. But overall, SchlockFest, it was a success.
Yeah.
I had a great time. This was so much fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us talk about it. I think if you guys, ladies and gentlemen, haven't seen Schlock, you should YouTube that shit and watch it.
YouTube it is probably the easiest way to get it now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually released on DVD about 20 years ago.
I wouldn't recommend you buy it.
By Anchor Bay. That's actually how I first watched it. A friend of mine's older brother decided to pay for it and said, "Hey, you guys love John Landis, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Have you ever seen Schlock the Banana Monster?" No, I had not. And then I found my love for this movie.
I mean, it's a guy in a gorilla suit. What I love about the cover, too, of the DVD is that it's a guy in a gorilla suit holding in a woman in a bikini. There was no women in bikinis.
There was no women in bikinis.
I mean, and the cityscape is like New York City. It's not New York.
It's filmed in California.
Yeah.
In a small town.
It was like a town that no bumblefuck California. You know? But I recommend it. I see why now it's 60% on Rotten Tomatoes because it made me laugh. This is a movie you want to toke one up to. Sit down with some friends and have a good laugh.
Yeah, and that's what I hope SchlockFest is going to be.
SchlockFest will be that. So our next movie will be Freaked. You guys stay tuned. Check out all of our other amazing content on Podbean, something like that, on our Zombie Takeover TV page on Facebook. And many, many other amazing artists are involved on our page too, so check them out. Again, I'm Ray McGuff.
Jean-Paul Mantilla.
You guys stay tuned. Jean-Paul Mantilla, he knows his movies, so reach out in the comments section of this video. If you've got some questions or comments or trivia, try to stump old JP here.
Or concerns.
Or concerns, yeah. Or do you have a fucking terrible movie you want us to review? Put it in the comments. Drop it in the comments, and we might review it. This has been a great time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned.